Hi everyone, this is SIG Scalability meeting, 22nd July. And today we have 3 topics, I think, to discuss. One was standing for a few meetings. Does anyone know what is it about?
Is it about the priority and fairness performance benchmarks, right? This one? A side note, Marcel, it might be easier if you presented the meeting doc with the agenda, so we know.
Oh yeah, sorry for that.
You're talking about, no worries.
Yeah, so
like this one basically tends to wait till 1.22 is released, and then Abu is going to work on it. So yeah, maybe I can rephrase that.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I see that Arnaud is adding some item, and so do you want to start with update?
Oh, for the priority and fairness.
But Abu is not here, right?
Oh, sorry. Yep, I'm here. So I wasn't sure I was following.
Oh,
yes.
sorry.
I have a few pending PRs on the priority and fairness side. Basically, adding support for list with width. So we couldn't make it. Our plan was to put it into 1.22, but due to some reasons we couldn't push it to 122. So I'm working on those PRs, and once I have a grasp on those PRs, I'll probably start looking into the performance test for PNF.
So you were saying about right now about the job migration that you have multiple PRs?
Oh, sorry. This is not about the job migration. I was referring to the performance benchmark tests for PNF.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you need some help from us?
No, I still haven't got to it yet. I'm working on a few PRs on the feature, and then once they're done, I'll start working on it. At the time, I'll reach out in the group to the group for some directions and help.
Okay,
that's great.
Also, I'm working closely with Abu, so I will.
I will
also let you know if.
And then we will know. So yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Okay, so we just leave it here for the next meeting.
Or probably in 2 meetings or something like that.
Okay, yeah, or a few more.
Probably a couple of more meetings, yes.
Yeah.
But that's definitely something I want to do, because this would be a good way for me to get more familiar with the SIG scalability, the test framework, and the repo, and all that's going on. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so actually regarding that, I think we merged recently some kind of starting tutorial where you can check how to use cluster loader and how to write simple tests, how to run them. So I think this will be a good starting point for you when you want to see how to use how to use cluster loader basically.
Okay, great. That sounds great.
Okay, so I guess now we can go to the update about the job migration.
No, I don't say morning, evening to everyone. I'm Arno. I'm the co-chair of Kids in Front. Let me put my camera. Yeah, that's better. So just want to give an update on the job migration I'm working. So right now I've kind of reached out for most of the 6 scalability job. Some are flaky, but there is one that constantly failing, and I don't know why. we put the link of the test grid in. Okay. So I have a dedicated tab in test grid with the list of basically most of the canary job I'm looking right now is in the Zoom chat for people interested. Is specifically which one? The Kubemap 5K schedulers job. So I don't know why it's still failing until now.
Yeah, I think so. I remember that some time ago I was replying to one of the issues that even our previous job was failing constantly, the Kube scheduler, and if that's the case, then let me get back to it and I will double check. But if the if the original job is also failing, then I wouldn't worry too much about it from your perspective.
Okay. I also, so the next thing I did, I think yesterday, was I created a new bucket in K-Certified that will be used to host the Golang builds. So basically what's happening, I put the link of the issue in the chat, but I mean, the builds are failing. I'm not sure why it's failing because I have an example of Brit failure in the Zoom chat. Also, my question is, why do we still use 1.14 for those Golang builds?
Oh, so I think that the idea is that for Golang, it doesn't really matter what Kubernetes version it is too much. I mean, there might be some small difference, but basically what we are interested is only the performance of binary that is built with a newer version of Golang compiler. So basically it's fixed. Probably it would take some time to migrate it to newer version of Kubernetes, and probably we would need to tweak some thresholds and things like that.
Okay. So when I basically know why the Golang build job failed, I will start basically try to do some migration and see if everything is fine.
Yeah, but like that being said, we should probably work on updating the Golang job, because I think we are still testing 1.14 Golang as a baseline.
Yep.
Yeah, and we moved to 1.15 in Kubernetes, right? So that's something we should definitely change.
I
but
think
like
we already moved to 1.16.
1.16 even, yes.
Or
So
we are moving right now or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So we are behind like probably 2 minor releases.
So 122 will be based on Golang 1.16.
16, yeah.
So we should like definitely update the job. I'm not sure, like, because that's the baseline. We are doing like A/B test, right? So we run the baseline and then we compare with the, I hope with Golang head, but I'm not sure. It might be a head of the 1.14 branch, but that would be bad because then this test is completely not useful. So yeah, we should follow up on this.
Okay. So if I'm not sure if is a failure related to the canary job of something contextual, but I don't understand why the build is failing. So
Okay, so this is the link that you posted, right? Okay. So I guess, yeah, right now probably we don't want to debug it, but let's take it offline and let's make sure that someone looks at it.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Like actually, I just took a look, and like 114 is misleading because it shows 114 in the log because that was the version 18. But we are actually doing what we are supposed to do. So we are testing Golang head, which is currently some like dev 118 version. So it's actually good. Like, so this job serves the purpose. Like we can obviously update from 118 to something newer, but as Marcel said, it doesn't really matter, right? Because we want to basically fix everything we can fix. So for example, Kubernetes version, and we are just testing, like the test is not for Kubernetes, is using Kubernetes to test Golang, because that's a great benchmark for performance. We like create a lot of routines and pretty heavy on Golang, and like any changes there around like memory management and stuff are usually visible in our scalability test. So, but anyway, like still, like we can take action item to basically update this. We should be updating because every while, like it doesn't make sense to probably do it every minor, but like every 3 minors or so, we should bump to the newest available.
Okay, so I'm gonna wait on this because I realize the scale Golang period bucket is used by some SIG node pro job. So I was
okay.
So like,
yeah, Arnold, if you can like open an issue with basically asking the question that you ask currently, why like, or like why this bucket is used by some node test, then it will be easier for us to take a look and like answer the question.
Okay.
So like just open an issue in either like in our repo or in a Kubernetes repo or in your repo and add us, and we'll make sure this is taken care of.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay, thank you.
That's all for me. I mean, I'm sorry. So my last question is, I create a document that basically keep all the quota that need to be raised for the 5K job. So I'm not sure if I need to basically raise other quotas. Like, let me find the issue. Okay, this one. So I did some improve. I've read some quotas, but I don't know if that's enough or just.
Give me a second. So, so you increased some quotas, but I think you are already running 5K tests, right?
Yep.
And they all pass, right?
Yep.
Then probably I would say that probably all quotas are correct.
Okay, that's fine for me.
I don't know. Maybe you have different opinion. I don't know. Matt, Wojtek, Shyam.
We should probably take a quick look and like random results of random tests to double check. But yeah, I would expect that if it's passing, it should be fine.
Okay, because I don't know if we have other jobs that basically need to be migrated, because right now I was just focusing on the periodic for SIG scalability. Now it's possible pre-submit need to be migrated and we maybe need to raise some quotas. So that's why I'm asking.
So for pre-submit jobs to Kubernetes repository?
Yeah, maybe it's possible when you migrate from Google to the community infra, we maybe need to also run those pre-submit against this dedicated project. So in this case, do we need to raise quotas against, or if what I did is enough for basically long term?
Probably. Go ahead.
We do have like optional pre-submits. So yeah, we should probably create a second project for pre-submits to avoid interactions with those. But the job is supposed to be like the more or less the copy of that, so the same quota should apply.
Okay.
I think that even lower quotas, right? Like for pre-submits, like the regular ones, we only run like 100 nodes, right? Clusters.
They require, but there's like optional that is.
Yeah, and the biggest optional, if I remember correctly, was like 2,000 nodes.
Okay.
Okay, then we should probably replace it with like 5K because we don't even have a way to. We don't have nothing to compare it with, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
And with like tests being much faster than they used to be like a year ago, then I think it's reasonable. And we are also running it like pretty rarely. I mean the large optional pre-submit.
Wow. Replace with 5K is not gonna be impactful for basically for the contributor experience, because I feel people are gonna wait longer than they are used to be to get the results.
So what I meant
it's
here
an optional. It's an
optional.
optional
So
pre-submit. Almost no one is using it. Like we are running it on very few PRs per cycle that are being thought as something that may cause significant problems. So it shouldn't impact like pretty much anyone.
Okay.
So does it work with you, like creating separate project for pre-submits with the same quotas?
Maybe I need to talk with my coach about this, because we basically the idea was to have one dedicated project for any job running 5K nodes. So if we need to have a second project, it's not really that difficult. We can basically, it's not really complicated to do that. We just need to be sure we don't conflict with the current one.
Okay.
Yeah, also like if like for any reason this is problematic, I don't know, like cost reasons, like so let's have this discussion, because I think it would be useful to retain this pre-submit, but this optional one. But I think it's like lower priority than migrating other pre-submits, and as Wojtek said, we are using it very rarely. Yeah.
Okay.
So this can be basically last item to do, like if you are blocked on this for some reasons.
Okay.
Hey, just a quick question about these optional pre-submits. So is it limited by some group or something like that, or anyone can invoke it against?
Any member can actually trigger it, so that's true. But you cannot have, like, technically you can have more than one, or maybe we set the price for one on it.
Okay.
But anyway, like it's like using a fixed project. So if you manage to run it twice, you will basically fail because you will have conflicts. So probably like one pre-submit will create nodes and the other will delete them to create cluster or something like that. So, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so so I think we can go to the next topic. So I actually put two different items, but I feel like the solution could be one for both of them. So recently on Slack, there were a few people asking about like scalability updates. So for example, the story is that someone was on KubeCon 2018, I think, and they asked like, what are the differences between, you know, what was happening then and now in terms of scalability limits. And I don't think we have currently any good documentation to show like what are the scalability limits changes over Kubernetes versions. And I was wondering, what do you think about it? If we should change it somehow, and how to make it actually, you know, in a way that we don't forget to update scalability limits, because there, in my opinion, there was some work obviously that was extending those limits, but at the end, I think we didn't document it well.
Yeah, I was actually talking to Matt a couple weeks ago, I think, about the same thing. It was a slightly different format of this, like not exactly with the limits, but even just if someone, because a few times I got pinged and where someone asks what were the scalability improvements, or like some kind of a catalog of things which like scalability improvements that went into release. And when I actually go take a look at the change log for the release, it seems like it only mentions like one of the biggest things, right? But it seems like we do actually make a lot of small improvements here and there. Maybe some are not that significant, but some things that would still be good to know. Like in, let's say if there's some, for example, some change in watch behavior, which, for example, affects the number of events we process or something like that. Um, I, I don't know if that today is counted under our, or that's mentioned under our change log. What do you guys think about having like maybe some catalog where we just dump, maybe do a little bit of polishing before the release? We can also use this to point, I think, the release team to that, because I think every time they come ping on the group asking us about changes.
So I guess it depends, like what kind of details do we want to include there, because like you mentioned, like for example, like some kind of event speed processing or like sending, whatever. This might be like not really something that represents like what clusters can run, I think.
So you're saying these don't actually limit, these don't actually represent scalability limits?
Like for example, like I think my internet connection is not really great right now, but I'm glad you hear me. So so for example, I can imagine that, like for example, you have some service or whatever, and instead of sending 100 events, you are sending one event, right? So let's say that event throughput is the same for the cluster, but then we are just sending less events. And of course, there are many dimensions, like those small dimensions that we probably could try to measure. But is it more valuable than like updating actual scalability limits that we are testing regarding like number of pods, nodes, and namespaces or services, whatever?
Yeah, I guess that's a good point what you're saying, that limits are probably more customer or like more user centric, and it's more relevant for people. But I wouldn't contradict that actually. But I think there are some improvements which may not be measured by our limits. For example, there may be a little bit more engineering specific improvements which we know that like some which might help with some kinds of scenarios. So I know I just want to bring this up. What do you think, Wojtek, Matt, others? Is this, do you think there's value in holding a catalog like this, or maybe we should just start from limits?
Yeah, so I agree with Marcel that like actually these might be two different things sometimes. Like in some cases it might be the same, right? Like the improvement that comes to my mind is immutable secrets or config maps done by Wojtek, right? So these actually like improve the number of secrets or config maps, increase the number of secrets config maps supported in the cluster. But sometimes there's like really low level improvements or like improvements that don't touch like any particular limit, but are improving scalability in general, right? Like something like, I don't know, watch bookmarks or things around that, right? So, or like some what else? Like we did some serialization improvement and etc. Right? So, but I think like there's value in both, right? Like limits. We have a lot of people asking about this. So like we need to have a way to actually maintain an updated list of limits. So it's I think it's tricky. Like I am like really supportive if Marcel you want to take this online and figure out something. And also Shiam, for your idea like about tracking the improvements, I also think there is value in that. Like even just for us to know, to have a log basically to be able to simplify some governance stuff, right? Like doing community updates like this quarterly, right? So it is basically show like SIG Scalability did this and this, right? But we also need a process here, like because like just creating a catalog or like a document, I'm worried that we might just like start writing there something, but after a few weeks we'll forget about it, right? So
exactly, yeah,
something that will work and yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I definitely like for limits. I think it's non-questionable. I think we just need them. For improvements themselves, I also see value in having that. I think my biggest concern here is like to keep the discipline of like really keeping them documented. So yeah, I like I wouldn't start them without having a way of, well, maybe enforcing is too big word for that, but like somehow ensuring that we will keep, like anything we will be doing or any improvements that we will be doing will actually get documented.
So
we need process in both cases, right? Like we need to start with some process proposal and then we can run some pilots and see how it goes.
So actually, that's my second point about the process for tracking scalability limits. So there is one more issue that currently we had on call, which was that we were having some experiments going on, and there is a document that says like what's the order of enabling experiments, but then on-call changes every week, and it's quite hard to see like, okay, at what point the experiments are enabled, what could be possible. It could be possible that they are basically failing tests. So there is document, but there is no like really easy process to track it. So as an example, I would like to talk about, for example, huge services. So at some point, we enabled huge services in most of the tests, but not all of them. So this basically had few issues. Like one is that it pollutes our tests because we have more flags, more configs to maintain. But second of all, what we would like to do is basically enable this in all tests and then later clean it up. And then I think the third point could be actually update scalability limits. So what I was thinking about is, because we have already document that says in what order we should do it, what I was thinking about is, okay, if you want to create some experiment in perf test, what you do is basically you create issue and you have this checklist what to do. So like, first of all, you implement this, then you enable in this test, this test, this test, this test. Then basically what you do is clean up and update scalability limits. Do you think it makes sense?
Yeah, I think those are good ideas. Maybe one of us should follow up on like what do we want to do here with the process, like maybe a loose proposal on. I'm okay if you guys want to discuss this over a Slack thread to begin with, because I think you're running out of time as well. But yeah, let's figure this out on the channel.
Okay.
Agree.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. So yeah, as Fiam said, we are out of time. So
Yeah.
let's follow up on Slack or during the next meeting. So
Thanks, everyone.
thanks.
Thank you.
Take
Bye.
care.